Makati musemuri Zimbabwe kusangana zvekare pano pachivhitivhiti paTV yenyu patinenge tichikupai nyaya dzinenge dzichiitika munyika yeZimbabwe. Pane foto rekusekuleta rina Vice President Chiwenga naVarugeje vanova vari ndivo 2017 military coup kingpin. Foto iroro ratora kunetsa because panapa Herald yakauya yakati Vice President Dr. Constantino Chiwenga is arrived in Victoria Falls to officially open the 2026 SADC Sustainable Energy Week tomorrow. He was welcomed on arrival by SADC Executive Secretary Elias Magos, Regional Energy Minister, and a broad range of public and private sector energy stakeholder from across the region. So muri Zimbabwe ndo mataurirwo zvakaitwa neHerald, but chakunetsa ndechekuti Varakazhe pamwe chete nevamwe vakuru veZANU-PF vakutaura kuti ko Rugeje anga akamira naChiwenga vachisekererana vakatarisana kudai so. Chii change vachitaura because vanoziva kuti ana Rugeje ndiye pamasoja ese atinawo nhasi. Rugeje ndiye muAfrica panonzi pane masoja akadzidza, Rugeje anga aripo papo, ndiye musoja ane maPhD, ane madegree, machichi, ane zvinhu zvakawanda wanda zvainazvo zvechikoro so. Saka vanotoziva kutoti munhu kutoti kana atopindana naChiwenga kudai so, anogona kutoudza Chiwenga, anogona kutomubatisa kuti aiwa .com itai so. Anogona kutoudzerewa zvekuita kunzi aiwa itai so, imi mukanya nyararai. Munofunga Chiwenga nekutsamwa kwake kwaaita 2017 ari minister wehealth uye wepai dai akasiiwa akadaro handingadai akafa kudhara kana kuti angadai akatosungwa kudhara. Ane vanhu vanenge vachimuadvise. Saka ndozvisiri kudiwa manje nanaED izvozvo. Rugeje aitombonzi ngaruwe pasi, aitombonzi pasi naye, but vakazoona kuti munhu wacho wavari kudhila naye mahwani, atori mahwaniwo haasi kutobatika zvekudaro. Saka ndiwo nyaya iripo, and army inomuprotecta munhu because munhu ane mastrategist, haingambobvume, inotomuchengetedza, haingambobvume kuti munhu akadaro afe. Saka ndo nyaya dziri kunetsa mhuri yeZimbabwe. Zvisinei mhuri yeZimbabwe, tinokutendai nekuteerera kwenyu. Tichakusiyai makateerera kubva kumakomeredzi edu vane chimwe chokwadi chavari kubudisa panapa chakakosha kuti munge muchisangana nacho.
It's always talked about, the broad-based national, dialogue is one of the antidote to the problem, that we have. And sometimes I've failed, to understand how that can be implemented, practically. Because for us to be broad and for us to have that national, dialogue, it means that, we have to have everyone, involved. And now, the issue of the egos, the issue of the what it is, how do we get to a genuine broad-based national dialogue that articulates things as they are and find solutions to the problems that we are facing as a country?
Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
The young people of Zimbabwe must have balls to start these things, because all these comrades who are talking about these things are implicated in one way or another. So you can't call a dialogue when you are a participant in the problem. So it needs to be called by a person who is not implicated in the crisis. So for example, when you talk about the issue of elections, Mr. Mnangagwa cannot call a dialogue to solve that issue because he's implicated in that issue. For also, President Chamisa cannot call that dialogue because he has an election fight there. He is implicated. So that's why I don't believe in anything these 99 comrades and their professors are saying that they are going to have a dialogue. They are implicated in the crisis. Young people of Zimbabwe must do what Malema and the EFF did, which is to be the ones who are going to initiate that dialogue in our lifetime. And I don't apologize for that. To be honest with you, because we are always going to have a problem, because most of our seniors are implicated in these things. So they can't be the one then to call that dialogue. So I thought the church would do it. Unfortunately, the church has been captured, and we must not be ashamed of it. I myself, I'm a preacher. I stand on that pulpit and I preach. So, but I can see that there is ZANUfization of the ecclesia. It's true. Cars have entered in the church. There's no more platform there, and people of Zimbabwe must not be scared of it. The Church of Zimbabwe has become a crime syndicate. The Church of Zimbabwe has left righteousness. It's now in the pocket of the rich. The Church of Zimbabwe has now become a fund collecting mechanism where people are collecting people's monies. And according to Marx, and Marx was right, it was also become an opium of the poor, whereby we are always going there and be told, your year is coming, your year is coming, you're going to make it, this is your year. How does it come when the governance crisis has not been resolved? We need a church that preach. The Bible only tells us that Jesus will do one thing for us, is salvation, which we can't do for ourselves because we can't save ourselves. But after salvation, all other things we are supposed to do them. The Church of Zimbabwe doesn't preach that message anymore. It doesn't preach against corruption anymore. But Jesus, during his lifetime, he preached against corruption, abuse of power. These are the things. The Church of Zimbabwe ceased to be a platform to say these things. They can ask me, they can give me a platform and explain further. It can't be. This thing of saying the church will help us, it can't. I thought that a civil society would do that. Unfortunately, also, we had a civil society that relied on best practices. Now, the problem of best practices is that principles are universal, but their application is contextual. Our civil society has been borrowing a lot from European and American and so forth. We actually don't have an organic civil society that comes from the people in response to the problems of Zimbabwe. That's why most of them, they're scholars of liberalism. They speak very liberal language, which people can't relate with. That's why most of their work is in Harare and so forth. And we need really to think about, what does civil society mean in an authoritarian regime like ours? But what does it also mean for an African country like ours? But what does it also mean in a very contested space like ours, which is different from the conditions of the Americas? So that can't be a platform anymore. I thought the university can be a place for dialogue, but unfortunately, our country is de-intellectualized, death of thought, migration of intellectuals from the country, capture of the university and the academy. There's Education 5.0, which focuses on skill development, zero consciousness. So you have people who are skilled every day. Why? They want to use your skills, but they don't want you to criticize and scrutinize them. Death of the academy. There's no more platform to talk about there. The dead platform. Political parties in themselves, captured. Parliament, captured. Young people of Zimbabwe must stop saying mukuru, 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 boss, 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 and become bosses, man. And let's come together and set up a platform and bring these madalas to discuss a national conversation that is going to take our country forward. And I honestly think the arrival, for example, of the economic freedom fighters in South Africa, say whatever you want, Malema and the economic emancipation movement led to a new conversation in the country. The DA was sleeping, the ANC was sleeping, they wake them up in parliament. So I'm not saying young people of Zimbabwe go and form a party. They're likely not going to succeed. But we can begin to be hosters of these platforms. We can begin to be, because we are not implicated in most of these things. We are not there. You can't say I'm corrupt when I've never been in any office. I've never eaten anything of government. I'm suffering. I don't drive Hilux. Probably I'm the one who still has the conscience. So young people of Zimbabwe must have balls. Young girls and young boys. I see nowadays, I'm here, they are forming a lot of organizations. Me, I have my organization. They're writing a lot of books. But let me tell you, there's no solution in those organizations. Come together and create one formidable organization that calls your leader to discourse. And I think I'm one person. I know many people will say maybe I'm being stubborn, but that's what I think, Ango, is our exit out. Young people must stop being used to extend and being hotspots of hate that exist among our elders. Young people, both in ZANU-PF and outside of ZANU-PF, must understand that we have a responsibility to keep a country. We are the future of this country, and we must not tolerate certain things that will leave us in a country that has nothing, because we have allowed certain men to take everything. Young people must also know that we must grow out of the immaturity of always being used to campaign for other people, but we can also start campaigning for a platform that is going to usher in a conversation. I'm one person. I agree with the issue of dialogue if it is not pollard, hosted by a person implicated in electoral challenges. I agree with the dialogue if it is not hosted by a politician who has an interest in the crisis that is being solved, because those that have an interest cannot be trusted to discuss that thing. They have a conflict of interest. So Let's have that platform. But young people of Zimbabwe, wake up. We can wake up and organize that platform, have discourse happen. And of course, a national conversation really needs to happen. Our people are bitter. Our people are angry. But unfortunately, one, they don't have the grammar to explain their anger. Number two, they don't have a platform to explain their anger. Number three, they're scared. And nothing worries me, Ango, than to see people entering into a defeatist mode. It's easy. It's one thing to be defeated, but it's another thing to enter into what we call the epidemialization of inferiority and defeatism, where you feel like you can't do anything about it. It's just what it is. Maybe God will just help us. We are tired. We can't. We can't. You know, it pains the most. And munane 16 years achikuza tingagodiko wedwe. So inida ndiro ma 20s sure ndichitaura zvinotaurwa nambuya vangu abva vandifonera vachida mari yedu vakuma 8. Ini ndichitaura izvozvo. Iwo vachitaura izvozvo. You can see that the country is dead. Ini ndichitaura tingagodiko wedwe handipererwa sekupererwa kwavanoitwa also. It's painful to watch. It's really painful. Chwana munhu so mukombi so chiconductor chine 17 chikuza chozva zvangu itaenda kutongoita zvangu zvokuti ndisurvive nemhuri yangu ndichina basa zvakawanda. A person losing national consciousness, national duty, and just focusing on the self. And that's the society Mpinkas are building in Zimbabwe, where you just need to be rich, focus on yourself, make it. That's why you see a socialist organization that was built on socialist principles, a part of Herbert Chitepo, Marxist, Leninist, and Fanonist in approach, will now go toward this neoliberal politics of people telling you, empower yourself just to make it. It's never, no matter how you empower yourself, you are going to be a failure as long as your country does not have systems that reward hard work, talent, and those that are able and call upon sure vanhu vane mari so vari kutora parliament takangogara tangovatarisa so varipinda muparliament ina nditorina kana platform nendoropa ndechispace chamototi pawo icho hakuna kumwe kwatokwanisawo kunzira. So we really need young people of Zimbabwe to start calling their leaders and senior leaders to order and to action. And I honestly feel the 99 generation did well, writing the constitution, forming a party, telling us structures, fighting, and all.